Hey everybody, welcome to Grimsforge Gaming. Today we're going to give you an update to our Wonder Woman Templar build. And hybridization is in full effect, so you can see that we'll be running both Stamina and Magicka versions. We are into update 35 right now, so if you're looking for a Templar, the jabs animation has been adjusted here. You can see that's a much different animation than before. Also, I would have to say the Templar damage has been nerfed, obviously. So like we went from 4 consecutive hits on our jab to now like 3 consecutive hits, which ended up becoming a damage loss for them. Also, Burning Light, the passive Burning Light took like a 40% hit as well. So Templars are having a tough time right now trying to find their damage the way they could previous patches. So because of that, what I did was with Wonder Woman, I put her together very sustained and very durable. It's easy to be where I would have to say we're in a tank meta right now. If you're running Resolving Vigor, they attached Minor Resolve to Resolving Vigor, and so there's that. We'll talk about the abilities I'm using. This is an Oakensoul setup, and I would have to say this is like my tanky version of Oakensoul for Wonder Woman, or sustain version, let's call it that. This is a sustain based build, and if you want a damage based build, I'll link it at the end, but you'll want to look up the Spartan, and I did the Spartan maybe about a month ago, and that's a very dangerous, or was a very dangerous build via pre-update 35. Okay, so let's jump into this here. We're going to look at a couple things for our Wonder Woman. Number one, first thing that we're wearing is Eternal Vigor. You can see that this is mag recovery, stam recovery, health recovery, and then the 5-piece is more stam and magic recovery. And then if you drop below 50% health, your health recovery jumps up. And so this does work. This build is for no CP and Battlegrounds. Okay, this works great in no CP and Battlegrounds. You can use it in CP as well. It's just when you're in CP, you're going to be taking additional damage from champion points and additional damage from proc sets and stuff like that. And a 2-bar setup is probably better if you're playing in champion points, so you can cleanse bad stuff, or you can run race against time and different things. We're just very limited on an Oakensoul setup. We only got 5 slots, and we got to make the most of them. So Eternal Vigor is the first set. We are a 6 heavy on this, 1 light, and that's because of the second set that we have, which is Amber Plasm. And Amber Plasm is max mag crit, and then additional weapon and spell damage, and then you can see we have more recoveries there for our 5-piece. And both these sets do work in no CP Imperial City, no CP Cyrodiil. So if you want a very recovery based setup, you can do that. Okay, you can see we're running Oakensoul, and I'm running Swift on this. I don't have Race Against Time on this build, and I don't have Mist Form, so we needed a little bit extra speed on the build. Otherwise, we're forced to stand and tank things down that we couldn't otherwise just avoid. Okay, you can see we're running Infused Spell Damage, and then Swift on this. If you want to run Infused Spell Damage, you do you. We are a sword and board setup, and with a sword and board setup, getting penetration is a little bit harder to come by, right? You don't get it on your weapon the same way you could running a 2-hand maul or a lightning staff sharpened. You just don't get the same values. And we're running sharpened on our 1-hander, and then we're running Scoria for that extra offensive penetration there. Now, because you can see our base pen is 4,000 penetration, when we pierce someone, and pierce is going to apply major and minor breach, there's an extra 9k penetration. And so that's going to take us 13k pen. That's pretty good. People will feel 13k pen, okay? And our spell damage, you can see that when we buff up with our spell damage, we're going to be just under 5k, okay? 4,900 spell damage, and that gets the job done. Okay, resistance wise, we're gonna bump up to, let's see here, oops, You can see our resistance is 31,000 and physical resistance 30,000. These are really good resistance numbers. I can tell you in CP scenarios we're at cap resistance, so no CP, this works out really well. Like I said, 13k pen, that'll get the job done. And our crit right now for being heavy armor, 25%, 26%, is not too shabby. So that seems to be good. You can see our max stats. We're in a meta right now on PC, update 35, where lower max stat and higher health is where you want to be. All right, you want to get your health as high as you can to get you out of the burst window or burst threshold, and just run higher recovery as lower stats. Now if you can run higher health and higher max stats and high recovery, then you found something amazing. Run that build. Then the whole question becomes, where's your pen at and where's your weapon and or spell damage at and resistances. So this for Wonder Woman is seemed to be working out pretty well. We're a handful in Battlegrounds, and that's what I wanted to do. We'll win a lot of fights because people, number one, we'll win a lot of fights because we're using Oakensoul, and Oakensoul allows us to get right into our offense. I need zero buff maintenance, right? I don't need to take the time to build my Templar house, my defensive rune, my cleansing ritual, upkeep on my major brutality, major sorcery. I don't have to wait on any of that, right? It's just immediately go. And so that's pretty good. I can get a jump on people, get pierce into them, put damage into them, and then survive that way. So let's look at our armor sets here real quick. So you can see Scoria, and you can see Prismatic Enchant, Reinforced. If you want to run Impen on that, do that. You can see Prismatic Enchant on this one, Prismatic Enchant, Reinforced, Prismatic Enchant, Reinforced, Prismatic Enchant, Reinforced, and then well fitted on this. If you want to run something else, you can. This is the light armor piece for Amber Plasm. This completes our 5-piece. Probably a smarter move, if you wanted to optimize this better, is to make your light armor Amber Plasm set, make that be the waist because of the armor values. So make the light armor be the waist and then run a heavy armor shoulder for Eternal Vigor here. That would be more optimized. I'm running infused spell damage. If you're a Templar right now, because of hybridization and stuff, you can achieve higher damage through using spell damage. Even if you're a Stamplar, you want to be speccing into spell damage if you're running Living Dark or any of or Power of the Light if you're running that. And that's mostly because of this passive right here. Casting a Dawn's Wrath ability grants minor sorcery to you and your group for 20 seconds, increasing your spell damage by 10%. And so we can get 10% higher spell damage by stacking spell damage because of that passive. Now, keep an open eye if they were to ever add and or weapon and or spell damage. That would be a lot more flexible for Templars. So hopefully they revert, as a side note, they revert the animation and the damage of this right here. So this is really hurting Templars right now. Okay, let's jump into our abilities. Make sure you get all your passives and everything in your class, obviously. And I'm running Sword and Board, so make sure you get all those passives. And then in your armor, light armor passives, heavy armor passives, and Fighter Guild. Make sure you get these. Looks like I can probably pick up a couple more. I've got a couple more skill points, so that's good. Anyways, grab those, and then racial. We are a Nord right now, and that works out really well. Alright, let's look at our abilities unbuffed. We're using Shielded Assault. Shielded Assault, you have two options as far as a gap closer with a stun at the end of it. Shielded Assault ended up working better for me because of our use of stamina and magicka. This was a sweet spot. I tried using Toppling Charge. It was too much of a damage, or too much of a magic, because our primary spammable is magic, okay? And So basically what we wanted to do is make it to where only 2 of our abilities are requiring magic on this, because our max mag pool is on the low. And so our 2 abilities that require magic are going to be Living Dark, which has a higher cost, right? And then our primary spammable. I can also tell you the sweet spot for Templars as far as your mag recovery, if you're going to be using puncturing sweeps, is the 1800 range. Now we bump up to about 2200, I think, when we pop a potion, and that allows us to spam our sweeps a lot more and stay really offensive. So while this is a defensive setup, because of Oakensoul, we can go into offense very quickly and apply pressure to people as best we can on a Templar. So anyways, aim for magic recovery in the 1800 range base. And another thing too is if you're running a 2-bar setup, that won't include this. When you pick this up and you pick up the morph for that, there's magic. If you're doing either morph, one offers stamina recovery, the other offers mag recovery. That does not show up in your recoveries, okay? So it ends up being an extra 480 either stam or mag recovery on top of this number. So if you're running a 2-bar setup, keep that in mind. Our food of choice right now is going to be Bewitched Sugar Skulls for the max stats. So you can see we got max health, max stam, and max mag, and then some extra health recovery. That helps out a lot, all of that, right? The stam recovery is important. Don't short yourself on that for a couple reasons. Number one, our gap closer. Your gap closer not only can be used offensively to stun people, it can be used defensively to get you out of trouble. Say you're in a 1v3, 1v4, and you're bogged down, and there's an enemy that's out and away, running away or running by. You can actually gap close to that person and help pull yourself out of the trenches. And so make sure your stam recovery is a little bit higher. Our puncturing sweeps unbuffed, you can see, is at 32 or 3100, and this gets higher. Let's see what that one actually gets to here. Yeah, 32, almost 3300. Our Pierce, and then Resolving Vigor, you can see it's a 22,000 tooltip, and also gives us Minor Resolve. That Minor Resolve is a patch or an update 35 new thing, and we're running Living Dark. Now here's the caveat to Living Dark. Living Dark is great. It applies that 40% snare to people, so it allows you to peel away from them. If you need to pull away, just get your bubble up. It also has a really nice reliable heal, but at the end of the day, it's basically the equivalent of a hot, right? Between these two, Living Dark is healing you as you're taking direct damage, okay? If you are getting bursted down, which is still capable even with the resistances that we have, then you want to drop Living Dark, and you're going to want to run a burst heal on it, probably either one of these morphs, okay? So just switch out Living Dark and run a burst heal there. Keep up your Resolving Vigor at all times, burst heal when you need to, okay? That's if you're being bursted down on this build, and most of the time these are enough to get it done, okay? And if they're not, I can drop a Dawnbreaker Smiting, stun them, or hard stun them here. Okay, got a runny nose, sorry. Dawnbreaker Smiting. Here's a couple things. If you're finding yourself in outnumbered fights, Dawnbreaker Smiting is the way to go. It's going to drop everybody on the ground or CC them if they're off CC immunity and a conal effect in front of you. So fighting outnumbered regularly, Dawnbreaker Smiting is a good play, as opposed to hard stunning each individual target, right? That's not a good waste or use of your stamina. You can run Flawless Dawnbreaker if you need additional damage. Flawless Dawnbreaker is going to give you more, like 300 extra spell damage, but not have the stun component. I fight outnumbered a lot of the time, so I like the stun component more, okay? And tooltip on this, probably, let's see here. Tooltip on this is going to get just under 13k, and then another 15k dot damage on it, okay? So seems to get it done. This damage kit seems to get it done. Now if you ever get low in the max mag pool, like you are really low on your max mag, you've been going really hard on offense. You can also do a heavy attack pierce bash combo, heavy attack pierce bash, and we talk about that in the Spartan build. And just a couple rotations of heavy attack pierce bash, and next thing you know, you've got your mag recovery, especially on this build, will get you back up to where you can start going into your offense again. Okay. As far as champion points, I'm going to jump in and look at the champion points because you can play this in CP, and then we're going to look at our armor sets here. I believe that's everything. So we are a Nord. We like Bewitched Sugar Skulls. Our Mundus is going to be the Atro for more mag recovery. And you could see our attributes. I've got 53. I was trying to hit the 25k or above max mag, and I was wanting to hit 27 or above health, ideally 30 to 35k. This jumps up once we get into CP scenarios. This jumps up over 30k, but no, CP 27 is respectable. 28k, we're still good here. And I wanted to get over the 20k max stam because a couple of our abilities are stamina, right? We need enough to hit our vigors, we need enough to pierce, and we need enough to gap close to the next target. So hitting the 20k stamina was important for us. Okay. Green Tree, you can pretty much run whatever you want. If you spend a lot of time in Cyrodiil, pick up these two right here, right? Gifted Rider and War Mount, those are important. I think Rationer is important. It's going to stretch out the duration on your food longer, especially if you're running gold food. And then I always run Steed's Blessing for that additional movement speed out of combat. Over here we're running Untamed Aggression for an extra 150 weapon and or spell damage. We're running Wrathful Strikes for 205 additional spell damage, and we are running pick up these passives right here. There's extra weapon and or spell damage hidden in here and additional pen, and pick up Mastered Arms for an extra 6% direct damage done. Your Puncturing Sweeps is a conal effect in front of you, and you can buff its damage by two separate means. One is through direct damage, because it's also listed as direct damage even though it's conal area of effect in front of you. So Master Arms buffs your sweep damage. That's important to know. Pick that up. So you can see that, and you can see that we have Deadly Aim. Increase your damage done with single target attacks. Now our Puncturing Sweeps is not getting buffed by this, but our Gap Closer is, and our Pierce is, and our light attacks, our heavy attacks are. So in those moments where we need to go just into that rotation, this is getting a 6% buff on that. Okay, some other things of note: make sure you pick up these passives. There's extra mitigations there, and then jump into this one right here. There's additional healing there, 2% additional healing. That's pretty important. Okay. Let's jump into the red tree here. Red tree, I'm going to have these top three usually on builds that I'm trying to be tanky on, and so rejuvenation, extra 90% or extra 90 health and mag recovery. We've got extra armor here, and we've got extra health here, and there's some extra health there, so make sure you're getting that. And we are running strategic reserve, so the more ultimate that you save, the higher health recovery you get. In CP scenarios, this makes you feel very tanky. If you're sitting on your ultimate, you can probably get up to 3k 4k health recovery, which is basically 3 or 4k passive health recovery coming in every 2 seconds. So it's almost like an additional heavy hot coming in. If you didn't want to run strategic reserve, jump into here, pick up hasty, and then go down to celerity and put 50 into that. That'll be an extra 10% movement speed at all times, so that helps out a lot. And as far as passives, there's so many different things you can pick up in the red tree. Really kind of build it to suit your playstyle. At 1900 CP, I've just got a bunch of extra stuff, like this is a slottable and I've got points dropped into it. I can't even use it. So I would probably say 1700, 1800 in CP is probably the tipping point where you have just about everything you need as far as slottables and passives. So, okay, that's the CP. We've looked at the build, we looked at the rotation, and we're using tripod stats or tripod potions. Always use those on Wonder Woman. You're going to need those extra recoveries on both sides of it. And we are going to jump into the style station, and I'm going to show you how we made Wonder Woman look like Wonder Woman. This is a new portion of our stuff. We're using the Pandonian shoulders there. We're going to be using Redguard gauntlets, pretty basic. We're going to be using the Mazatoon breeches, and the Wood Elf Jack #1 is how we get that. A lot of people ask, hey, how do you get that top for Wonder Woman? That's pretty cool. And I think this is a headpiece. I don't know what the name of the headpiece is. We'll have to look at it and see. High Elf guard. That does actually look like a Wonder Woman belt, so that's pretty cool. Order of the Hour Sabbath boots look like the Wonder Woman boots, and then the Order of the Hour sword, and then the Apostle shield looks just like the Wonder Woman shield. So that's pretty cool. We're going to jump into appearance, and as far as hairstyle, some people were asking about this. This is called a Ragged Royal Page haircut. Looks good for Wonder Woman. And personalities, we've got her set up for heroic. So that is our Wonder Woman. And I made this for my daughters, and occasionally they like running around and light and heavy attacking things to death in open world on Wonder Woman, and they love. It's been about a year since I've done a video for Wonder Woman for my daughters, and so anyways, I'll probably have to do some battleground footage and stuff like that for them. They really like Wonder Woman. But okay, if I missed anything, just let me know. Thanks, bye.